The second difference between EER diagram and ER diagram is the union. So let's take a look what is union. All of the superclass-subclass relationship we have seen so far originated from a single superclass. However, sometimes we may need to choose between several superclasses, and you choose only one of that. In other words, it's not multiple inheritance anymore. Multiple inheritance indicating you have a subclass and you have several superclasses, and that subclass inherits everything from the superclass. The topics we want to talk this video is you have several possible superclasses and you choose only one of that to be inherited. So in this case, the subclass will represent a collection of objects that is a subset of the union of distinct entity types. This is what we call a union type. For example, in a database for vehicle registration, a vehicle owner can possibly be a person, which is probably most commonly seen. However, you know that if you have a car mortgage, then a bank is going to be the owner while you owe the money toward the bank. In another case, a company can purchase the company cars so that their employees will be able to use the company car. And therefore, you see that there are three superclasses for the owner. It can be a person, it can be a bank, it can be a company. And the owner is going to be choose one of the superclass to inherit their attributes. So how do we represent that? Lies in the union. A union type called owner is created to represent a subset of the union of the three superclasses. This is what it looks like. So let's dive into this figure. You see that an owner can be a person, an owner can be a bank, an owner can be a company. So that we try to union all three of those together, and you will see that we created a owner entity. That is obviously a subclass. How do we know that? Because look into the sign that we have, the fork opening towards the superclass, and this time there are three possible superclasses while owner is the subclass. And therefore, based on this union type, obviously this is a third choice that you have, but it gives a very different concept from D, disjoint, as well as O, overlapping. Union is an independent item other than those two choices, because union gives you a choice option. So when I'm asking what are the possible attributes describing the owner, here is the answer. So the attribute describe owner entities are, first of all, coming from the person. So it can be social security number, name, driver license number, address, or the attributes coming from the bank, including the bank name, bank address, or attributes coming from the company. So that or concept is a very important thing to be focused on. To look into another example, vehicle. In our previous videos, we talk about that we can use a bottom-up approach to merge the car entity and truck entity to create a superclass, which is a vehicle. And now car and truck become subclasses. You need to understand this is something that we can do. And this is also a choice. So you can have a choice A, a choice B. Now we have a third choice by using the union concept. So you can see that we can create a registered vehicle, have an attribute describing this one, and this is a subset of the unions for cars as well as the truck. So you can see that the car has these attributes. The registered vehicle attributes are license plate number plus all of these 5 attributes coming from the car or those 5 attributes coming from the trunk. And therefore, all of these 3 choices are valid choices. Like I mentioned in the very beginning of the semester, database design is an art. Sometimes choice A is better than the others. Sometimes choice C is better. This requires your communication as well as your interactions with other entities. And therefore, try to understand that there are many choices. They are all meaningful so that you can use the best judgment to find the best design. And of course, it is totally possible that connects the 2 unions that we have discussed through the relationship. So you can see that the owner can own multiple registered vehicle can be owned by multiple owners. So it's going to be an M to N relationship. They are all used the single lines to describing this relationship, indicating owner does not need to have own any registered vehicle. Registered vehicle does not need to be owned by any owner. So try to understand what is the combination of this figure. It has the ideas of the union, 2 unions of those. You also have the relationship concepts over here. Therefore, this is a very good figure to help you understand the ideas about the union. So we can compare the union with shared subclasses. What is a union and what is a shared subclass? A shared subclass is a subclass that takes multiple inheritance from engineer, manager, and salary employee as an example that we see. This means that an engineer manager must be an engineer as well as a manager as well as a salaried employee. So if we looked into this one slide, it talks about the multiple inheritance, which is a shared subclass. So you can see that in this representation, engineer manager is an engineer and a manager and a salaried employee. So you can see this gives a very different concept with the union, because union provides a or concept. You can choose one of the owners, either a person or a bank or a company, while engineer manager shared subclass showed in this slide is an and concept. It is an engineer, it is a manager, and it is also a salaried employee. So that these slides summarize the major difference between the multiple inheritance versus the union concept. The owner concept, which is union, represents an or idea, and a shared subclass gives an and idea. And therefore, I have concluded all the discussions that we have seen for the EER topic. This is something that I have copy and paste from the book figure. It gives you a pretty interesting concepts regarding to the EER diagram. It has all the things that we have discussed: superclass, subclass, disjoint, union, and many different things. And more importantly, this is a figure that combines the superclass, subclass, as well as the relationships. So make sure you understand that the relationships representing in the diamond shape, while they superclass and subclass using the special fork sign to indicating the direction of the superclass and subclasses. Spend some time on this figure. I have a strong feeling that you will see this figure again in some major exams. So try to spend some time, understand it. If you have any questions, if there are something that you are not fully understand, you are very welcome to ask me any questions through coming to the class meeting time or writing the emails or any forms that's possible that we would be able to communicate. That is all for the chapter 4 EER diagram.